Welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all, and in this video, well, let's just say that we're gonna have quite the interesting time. Now, quick disclaimer before we get into anything else, all of the mods used in this video will all be linked in terms of the info that you need about them in the description box down below, so if you need any information about any of the mods used in this video whatsoever, please check the description. Now, let's go ahead and move on into what we're doing today. Now, as I'm sure you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be comparing a mud truck to a highly modified side-by-side. But first, we got to get our tow rig fired up. And now, we need to make our way on out to a nearby mud pit. So, we're not going to use the one that is right here next to the garage. I have a much more gnarly one in mind. Now, on our way there, though, let's get y'all a little bit more familiarized with the vehicles we're going to be using today. So, on the front of the trailer, we have a Ford Raptor that has been completely and totally modified, different engine setup, a whole subframe underneath for the massive axles, gigantic coilovers, and massive tires. However, the same can be said for this extremely highly modified CanAm X3. Now, the CanAm X3 it's just nuts, okay? It's just absolutely wildly nuts, and I'm kind of wondering if, even though the Ford has taller tires, I'm almost wondering if the CanAm is still going to do better because A, it's going to be lighter, and B, it doesn't have as much of a chance of like the bodywork coming into contact with the mud and slowing it down. So technically, even though the CanAm's tires are a little bit smaller, it should have some considerable advantages. Now, the map we are on today is Lime's Playground, and once again, that'll be part of the mods included in the description below. So now, let's make our way on down into one of the gnarliest mud bog areas pretty much in the game. And you know, I'm pretty freaking excited about this one. This is gonna be wild. Absolutely wild. And we can't forget the tow rig, especially considering the fact that this truck has been around for quite some time, and it's really... I've used it for so many different things, and it has never failed me. This truck has never failed me no matter what I have done with it. So let's find a good place to kind of get parked up and sort of staged, if you will, and we'll get these things unloaded. Come on, there we go. For a minute there, it didn't want to pick up the pace. All right, so let's pull on up, and this should work well enough. Let's go ahead and ramps down. Get everything unpacked, and I'm ready to get these things off the trailer. This thing is gonna be nuts. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up. It just feels so wild being up this high in a side-by-side. Like, looking out of it and seeing tires that big, you're like, oh, okay. So now, we need to run back up there and grab the Raptor. So the Raptor, I've driven before, but never on this map and never in this particular mud bog. So even though I have driven it before, my experience of driving it was very, very small. I didn't drive it very much, and I certainly haven't driven it out here. So I think in order to kick things off, we're just gonna send it into the nearest mud pit, which is this one right here, and genuinely see how it does. We'll put the suspension in high mode, back it up just a little bit to give it a little bit of run up. And 3, 2, 1, send! And off it goes. Oh, this one's not all that deep. Well, it gets a little bit deeper out here. We just gotta be sure to not flip over. So high range is starting to get a little iffy. All right, all right. It's not doing too bad. It's kind of like hunting around in the automatic mode a little bit, depending on what gear it wants to be in. You can tap the clutch, and it will definitely shift up once the mud gets a little bit shallower. But in a lot of the areas, you do have to be kind of conscious of what gear you're in. Yeah, when it gets a little bit deeper, it will definitely slow down, but all you gotta do is bring it right back down into first gear, and it's good to go. So now, let's attempt that same-ish loop in the CanAm and see what happens. Let's pull on up, shut this thing down, And we're going to make sure that the Can-Am is also in high mode on the suspension before we jump it in there. Now, once again, this thing is on slightly smaller tires, but because it's so much lighter, and also because it's, like, got so much less body work, I almost wonder if it's going to have an advantage. And let's go. It feels quick. I wonder if it's about the same speed, but, like, maybe it feels quicker because it's smaller. Okay, we're back into automatic mode now. It started spinning at about the same spot. Easy. It feels a little bit slower in automatic mode. I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit slower than the Raptor in automatic mode. But again, it's got smaller tires, but I didn't think that the smaller tires were gonna be that much of an issue. And really, I say issue, it's not like it's that much slower. Oh my god, once it actually gets traction, it shreds. All right, let me see if I can get it through this last little bit. Okay, the last little bit, it actually did better. It did better than the Raptor in the last part. Let's jump it off of this massive ramp real quick and just see if it actually survives. Not bad. I mean, we picked up a little bit of... What? Okay, I don't know how we kept it in fourth gear through mud that deep, but all right. That was honestly really, really surprising. My question is, can we make it all the way across this bog? Let's throw it in low plus and see how long we can actually keep it moving. We're moving pretty good. I mean, look at that. Our tires are not fully submerged, so I'm sure that that's helping us. I'm sure that's helping us a lot, actually. Throw it back into high. Wow, I'm genuinely impressed. I'm actually shockingly impressed. Let me turn you around and bring you back down the other way. You can kind of use it as a little bit of a banked corner up there. Work the steering a little bit just to see if we can find some extra grip. I'm going to feather the throttle to see if I can keep it in high through some of the deeper stuff. It's still doing really well. Oh no. Little iffy. Come on, just trying to find a little bit of grip. There we go. Oh no. I may have launched it a little too hard. Just a little too hard. That's fine. We've got the Raptor. We can actually pull it right back over. It's not going to be a big deal. And I'm sure I could also use the Dodge, but I don't really want to unhook it from the trailer. All right, so let's go and get you back onto your wheels real quick. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. And now, let me make sure that it kind of settles down. No worries. And there we go, and then we'll shut it back down again. Okay, so let's try that same route in the Raptor mud truck this time, because I want to see how this thing does across the larger mud pit, and I'm almost wondering if, like, now that we've done some stuff out here, if we should go do some of the more wacky obstacles on this map, because when it comes to wacky obstacles, this map has quite a few of them. Not doing too bad so far, although it seems like it slowed down more than the Can-Am did. Although maybe that's in my head. I'm not sure. It could be in my head. It's moving out though. Yeah, see here in the later part, or I guess the latter part of the mud pit, it's doing a little bit better. But initially, the Can-Am had it beat, I think. Back down the other way. We're still in high. Work the steering just a little bit. It's still rolling, and I will say it's doing better in this direction than, oh, never mind. It was doing better in that direction than the Can-Am was until it hit a depth that it just couldn't handle anymore, and it just sank, and it was like, no, you're going to need to go slower. You're going to need to go a lot slower. And up and over, and I learned my lesson the first time with the Can-Am to not send it too hard over the backside of that jump, because it doesn't end very well if you do that. Now, before we go to our next area, I'm going to actually give this thing an extra gear real quick, because that's something that you can do. So now you can see it has 7 gears in automatic mode instead of 6, and that is going to be a big help to us when we go and try out some of these other areas. Now, the Raptor, I'm not quite as concerned about, like, taking it to these other areas. Like, maybe if we have a little bit of extra time, we can, but I really want to see what happens with this, because I've never driven it on this map before, like, ever. Come on, up you go. Now, we just have to get back on the road for a second, but it's not really a big deal because we're getting right back off of it again. And over here, yes, over here we're going to find one of the most hilarious areas on this map. This is the sort of like a Monster Jam park, but it's got a backflip ramp. I don't know if this thing will do a backflip, but I would love to find out. Should be good enough. And go. Aww. I bet you we just didn't have enough speed. Let's try it one more time. One more time with a little bit more speed, and I think we might be able to pull it off. Or not. Back it up real quick. Send it. Easy. All right, high range, full. Oh, wow. It actually, it wants to anti-backflip. Like, it wants to return back down the other way. In order to get a vehicle to do backflips in SnowRunner anyway, you have to kind of very specifically set up the suspension. Let's repair those shocks real quick because, yikes. But again, I'm not surprised that it didn't want to do a backflip, but I am surprised that it rotated back the other way. That's kind of wild. But if y'all enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Let me know if you would rather have the mud truck or the lifted side-by-side. And if you're new around here and you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on, and I will see y'all next time.